everyone, this is Strawberry Podfix. I am a little sick right now, so if my voice sounds weird during the recording or I sound a little sniffly, that's why. Life update in the description, because I feel like I should explain, because I said the hiatus was ending, but then I disappeared for a little bit, so that'll be in the description. This is It's a Small World, Chapter 4, Entrance Exam, Part 1. Chat usernames. The full list, though not every character was present today. Midoriya Izuku as Kitty Cat Claus, Shinso Hitoshi as Purple, Monoma Nieto as Copycat, Yamada Hizashi as Loud and Proud, Aizawa Shota as Actually Asleep, Tsukauchi Naomasa as Hatman, and Ashido Mina as Alienqueen. 10 months later. Shota. Actually asleep. I would like to request one, coma. Copycat. What? Hard-headed. Is everything okay? Actually asleep. Hatman. Seconding hard-headed. You good? Loud and Proud. At actually asleep. Request denied. Also, look what you've done. You've concerned the mods. Loud and Proud. At hard-headed. He's fine. He's just belly-yachting about meetings we have to attend tomorrow. Copycat. Lamau. Actually asleep. At hard-headed. Apologies. Didn't mean to concern anyone. There's just not enough coffee in the world to deal with my insufferable coworkers tomorrow. There's a new one, and he's extra idiotic. Hatman. Understandable. Loud and Proud. At least you don't have to be present. At least you don't have to present. Hard-headed. Good to hear, and good luck in your presentation at Loud and Proud. Loud and Proud. Thanks. Copycat. It's times like this. I'm glad I'm not old. Loud and Proud. Hey now, Hatman. Enjoy it while it lasts. Actually asleep. Don't you have homework to do? Copycat. No, it's entrance exam season, and I have one tomorrow. Alienqueen. OMG, me too. I'm super nervous. I really want to get in. Copycat. Oh, Kami, same. Loud and Proud. Good luck, you two. Hatman. Good luck for me too, but I have to get back to work now. Copycat. Thank you. Alienqueen. Thanks. Bye, Hatman. Actually asleep. I'm sure you'll both do fine. I gotta get going too. Shota backed out of the chat as more of the users in the same age range started popping in, discussing the entrance exams with minimal detail. His own nephew, Hitoshi, had taken the recommendations exam the previous day, and his mom, Shota's sister, had taken him out for a celebratory dinner after he'd passed with flying colors. Probably why he wasn't online harassing the adults with the other young hooligans in the chat like normal. It was a local group, yes, but that was as far as any of them really knew of each other. They came together online for a sense of community, but always with an edge of privacy. It wouldn't do to share too much information and get hacked or have trolls slide in and start doxing people. Not everyone had the same capabilities of protecting themselves that Hizashi, and Naomasa had. Though, if anyone ever did have the balls to do so, the three could certainly make sure they faced appropriate legal consequences. A couple hours later saw Shota partway through his patrol that night, accompanied by a far too hyped-up vigilante. He wanted it known that he was, in fact, fairly smart. You don't get to the point of being one of the top underground heroes in the country without being able to use your head, much less become one of Nezu's personal students. He also liked to think he knew Ghost pretty well at this point, or at least his mannerisms, and tonight there was absolutely no doubt his kid was a jittery mess. It read more excitement than nerves, though, thankfully. So are you going to tell me what's up with you, or are you just going to keep bouncing off the walls? Shota finally asked, about halfway through their patrols. He meant that literally, too. They were making their way back up to the roofs, and Ghost had just bounced between the two buildings for his ascent. I have no idea what you're talking about, Racer, the vigilante sassed as they took off to the next block. Sure you don't. 10 o'clock. Shota pointed out someone breaking into a car in the street. Got it! Ghost peeled out ahead of him, making quick work of the would-be car thief. Breathe, problem child, Eraser called when the kid was still bouncy as hell after that. If you don't chill out, you're going to run out of energy before patrol ends. Besides, this is as good a time as any for a break. The reflective visor stared back at him silently for a minute, as Shota pulled 2 jelly pouches from the pocket he kept them in. Fine, Ghost finally capitulated, sagging snagging the packet out of the air when Shota threw it at him. But I doubt I'd run out of energy. I actually need to take off early tonight, probably in an hour or so. Not like you're beholden to a schedule. Shota leaned up against the wall next to the access door to the building they were on. Weird roof gravel crunching under his boots. That had basically confirmed his suspicions. The kid never willingly gave up patrol time. Yue's entrance exam was bearing down on them, and the kid was the right age for it. Potentially even the kids in the server from earlier. Statistically, at least some of them would be there. Shota desperately wanted to ask if he'd be there too, but the kid had shut him down hard enough the one time he'd asked about him potentially attending UA early on in their relationship that he hadn't wanted to rock that boat again. They also never said it, but they both knew if the kid did try out for UA, Shota would figure out who he was. He knew how Ghost moved and fought, and he might have his face-obscuring helmet now, might have had it for a few years even, but he hadn't always. Shota vividly remembered the dark, scared eyes of the hurt 11-year-old he'd first met, and caught glimpses of the honestly adorable fanged smile every time the mouth guard came down so the kid could eat. It wouldn't take long at all for him to be recognized, and Ghost still wasn't ready for them to know his actual identity. The kid deserved to be able to make that reveal on his terms, so Shota didn't ask, just let it remain unspoken that if Shota did clock him at the exam, he'd keep his silence. It would be better in the long run if the kid could get his license, regardless of the fact he couldn't technically be charged for vigilantism, and like hell was he going to be the one to stand in the way of attending UA, if attending UA was what he wanted to do. He did very much hope to see a familiar fanged smile in his halls tomorrow, though. There was absolutely no doubt his favorite problem child was going to be in absolute terror out in whatever cityscape he ended up in, and Shota needed something to look forward to if he had to deal with how long the next day was going to be. Izuku. Fuck. Izuku was trying very hard not to panic. Today was the day of the UA entrance exams, and he was running late. The most important day of this year, one of the defining days of his life, and he was at risk of missing it entirely if he missed this train. He'd barely had time to get dressed and triple check the bag he'd packed the night before had everything in it. He'd hoped to get rid of most of his nervous energy before his patrol the night before, but hadn't been successful. Probably because, even until his alarm went off that morning, Izuku hadn't even been sure if he was going to actually show, and wrestling with himself back and forth on the matter had kept him up well past when he wanted to be asleep. Thank Kami for the bottled coffee he kept in his fridge for emergencies. The exam itself was stressful enough. Well, not the exam. Izuku was confident in his abilities, both on the written portion, by now he'd already graduated high school online, and was enrolled in whatever college courses online struck his fancy. He wasn't afraid to admit he was a massive nerd and loved learning anything he could, and the physical, for the hero course, cough cough vigilante, but just the taking it. Whoever decided to put this kind of do-or-die moment on the shoulders of 14-year-olds was an idiot, and Izuku just wanted to talk to them, he promised. There were also so many things that could happen outside the exam, and not all of them he was sure he was mentally prepared for. Foremost in his mind was the fact that Aizawa was 100% going to be watching the exam, the physical portion, without a doubt. He did teach in the hero course after all, but Izuku figured there was a chance they had him somehow keeping an eye on the written exam too, in case anyone tried using quirks to cheat. He did hoped, that if Aizawa recognized him, the man would be nice enough to keep it to himself. Izuku then too scared to broach the topic, though. He also hadn't spent that much time around that many kids his own age since he'd stopped going to Aldera, which was nerve-wracking on its own, but also brought up a second issue. Bakugo, he'd stopped calling him Kachan unless they were around either of their parents a few years after his diagnosis. He hadn't seen his former bully since he was 10, but unless the entire family moved out of the country or something equally dramatic, there was no way he wasn't going to be at the exam today. Izuku had no idea what he was going to do if the blonde recognized him and wanted a confrontation. Luckily, he caught the train with seconds to spare, slouching down in his seat in relief, as he quadruple-checked his bag again, then pulled out his phone to check the messages that had been blowing it up. Most of them were a litany of good lucks in his servers for all the kids taking entrance exams today. UA wasn't the only one with an exam scheduled today, just the only hero school. But there were also a few requests for quirk analysis, and a few messages for Dartigan in his inbox. He swiped away the notifications for those, though. He'd checked them later when he wasn't in public, but didn't want them visible on his phone just in case before putting his phone away. He loved his chat groups, families, shenanigans, but right now he needed to focus. He settled up against his seat better, back straight, hands on his knees, feet flat on the floor to do some breathing exercises before they got to his stop. If he was going to make it through the day, he needed to be able to keep his wits about him and get his game face on. The entrance exam was never going to know what hit it, and, nerves aside, this was going to be fun. One saving grace of the day was that the seating charts on both exams were set up by middle school, and Izuku had attended that online, so that kept him further away from a potential Bakugo encounter. Instead, he found himself sat towards the back of the auditorium amongst a group of other kids who didn't have school uniforms. He had decided to wear his nicest pair of pants, and a button-down, one of his workout outfits, was squashed into his bag, of course. First impressions mattered, and he wanted to make a good one. The written portion itself was almost laughably easy. Izuku checked over every answer twice, and it had still been less than an hour since they'd started. He tapped the eraser of his pencil against the desk while staring blankly out at the front of the auditorium, debating between the boredom of sitting there with nothing to do but check over his answers a third time, and the attention he'd surely draw to himself if he got up to turn his paper in now and leave the exam hall early. And then he froze as the familiar red gaze of Eraserhead swept over him, proving he'd been right about the man checking for course cues to cheat on the test. The hero was nestled up in the rigging holding the lights above the stage, dark clothes and hair blending him in with the shadows there enough to keep almost anyone who wasn't specifically looking from noticing him. Izuku just happened to glance up at the right time to catch the brilliant red stare, since Aizawa wasn't keeping it up, just doing the occasional glance over the test takers. Probably both to avoid dry eye as much as possible and to avoid attracting the attention of the students below. The gaze hadn't faltered when Izuku glanced up, so Aizawa probably hadn't taken particular notice of him mixed in with everyone else, which was good, but now Izuku definitely couldn't turn in his packet early without being noticed. Shit. Sighing, he turned back to the first page to check it over again while he waited for at least 5 people to turn theirs in first. That should be a safe enough number. This was going to be a long day. And that is the end of this chapter. Let me know what you guys think. I will try to get the next chapter out soon, or a chapter of Hysterical out soon. I might go ahead and record a chapter of Hysterical right now. We'll see if my throat agrees with me, because it hurts a little bit. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I will see you guys next time. Goodbye!